Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
let's see if it works.
Let's see if it works. That's dumb. Maybe
I think
do.
it's just loading or something.
Let's take a look here. Okay, well that's dumb. Okay, I think we might be on here. It says live.
Yeah, it's going down.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Now I need. Okay, I
That's
think we're
weird.
good. I think we're good
Hmm.
now. All right, can everybody hear me? So everybody in the whatever you want to call it, chat. Can you hear me? Just say yes, I can hear you, and we're good.
I can hear you. It's good.
Okay, we're good then. All right, Mike, thank you for helping out with this.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Herms, are you there, bro?
Yeah, hello.
All right, we got these technical difficulties taken care of. All right, folks, I got Herms here. The beautiful Herms are from Kanzenshuu, Jake, whatever you want to call him, the N1 certified. I mean, how many names do you, how many labels do you have, bro?
Well, there's Todd Blankenship too.
That's true, and some people think your real name is Todd. So there you
It's
go.
my secret Twitter name.
All right. So tonight, folks, we're going to be talking Dragon Ball Super. We got 364 people watching us right now. 398. That number is going to climb. Please welcome Geek Army, and everybody definitely say hello to Herms. And thank Herms for sure for helping us out. You know, with everything. Herms has been such a big help for all of us in figuring out what's going on with the series and giving us information. So I really appreciate everything you've done for us, bro. Like I don't even know how to even thank you for this. I have ideas, but I don't know. What do you give to a man who has everything?
That's a good question. There's always cash.
You want me to give you cash?
Maybe. That might be a bad thing to mail on second thought.
Well, I would have to PayPal you, which I wouldn't mind doing, but I would have to do that. I never thought you'd actually say cash.
I'm kidding.
No, you deserve it though. Like you really do. Seriously. So we're gonna talk about Dragon Ball Super. The episode ended a few hours ago. Herms is here, of course. We're gonna talk about it. And Herms, I've been seeing some people now. Okay, before we go any further, we are gonna talk some spoilers. So if you guys are out there and you are worried about what happened if you haven't seen the episode yet, or you haven't read Herms' recap of the episode, you've been warned. So Herms, man, we found out earlier this week that who Goku Black actually is, and I've been hearing people saying that they're disappointed by this. What do you think? What are your thoughts as a fan of this series on who Black is? I kind of think that I feel like we were supposed to already have known this.
I mean, I feel like we still don't really know that much. Because, well, we've got to. Okay, so big spoiler. It turns out that apparently Zamasu in some timeline used the Super Dragon Balls to switch bodies with Goku in some other timeline. It's not really clear precisely how this is supposed to work. So hopefully this will be straightened out a bit in the next episode. But I mean, until that happens, like I feel like we don't really have a clear understanding of what's going on, other than the fact that that Goku Black is Zamasu in Goku's body, but we don't know which Zamasu and which Goku.
It's very confusing, and of course, as we've talked about before, bro, there are multiple timelines. So of course, it's possible that that is the situation. Now, people are telling me right now that you're coming in kind of low here. All right, is Herms coming up a bit low? I'm asking the people. Let me, because if you are, I'm gonna have to see if I can. Because every time I've streamed, I don't think this is you, man. Every time that I have streamed, for some reason I come in louder than everybody else, and I've used the mixer and everything to raise the volume of you and lower mine, but for some reason it just doesn't. It never works right. I don't know why that is. Just give me 1 second to fix your audio, man. I can't stand this sometimes.
Is this any better though?
You sound the same to me. See, to me, you sound fine. It's up to them. Okay, can you guys hear Herms better now? Is Herms better now? Just say yes. I'm waiting to see what they say. Okay.
Looks like a lot of yeses.
Yeah, but there's some lag. So you know what I mean. Some are saying Herms is low. Herms is low. I don't know if they've heard me say that yet. Oh jeez, I can't stand. They says Herms is also pretty quiet. Well, sometimes. Can I lower my volume? See, it's just weird, man, because I have you set at 235%, which means that you should be super high right now. Okay. All right, guys. Just let us know if Herms is too. All right, go ahead and say something. Let me see what they say.
Hello.
Was that loud enough, you guys? Just let me know. Okay, basically what I wanted to do, and this is just kind of a test, is I wanted to take some questions. If you guys had any questions for Herms, I wanted to go ahead and take the questions from you guys, and we can have a discussion. Okay, right now they're saying that you sound fine. Okay. So,
Okay,
all right, good. So, okay, so Herms, Dragon Ball, there's 4 timelines. Obviously, I had always thought that what happened was the Zamasu who fought Goku already went into the future. And I want to ask you something. Okay, I notice you're saying Zamas, and when I hear them say it, it sounds like they're saying Zamas. So, is it Zamas or Zamasu?
Well, that's the thing with Japanese is that a lot of those U sounds are typically very silent or just soft. And so, I mean, the thing about his name is that it derives from an archaic Japanese verb for to be. And actually, in the main series, this is how Idasa's mother talks. Like, she ends all her sentences in some form of zamasu. But the thing is, like, so because it's based on that Japanese word, that's why I think it's important to always spell it with the U. But if you're listening to them in Japanese, it's not. Oh, the U isn't always very clearly pronounced, and it's actually similar to, there's the standard Japanese copula verb. The standard verb for to be is des, which is always spelled Desu, but it's kind of the same thing where it's kind of pronounced where it just sounds like des to English speakers. And it's one of those things where it's just a difference between languages is that for Japanese, they don't quite distinguish the same way we do between something just ending in S and something ending in SU.
Like, os, oraoku, like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've noticed that was the first time I ever picked up on that. So, okay, but when you're saying it in Japanese, zamasu, like, kind of like that?
Yeah, it's just a pronunciation thing, and I guess Gowas, I mean, it's the same thing name-wise, but also, like, his voice actor, for whatever reason, seems to be one of the few characters who really stresses the U at the end when saying Zamasu's name.
Yes, and I've noticed that too. It's kind of interesting. So now I wanted to. Okay, so we're talking about what's kind of the timeline thing. My thing, Herms, was that Zamas went into the future and then went into all the different timelines and found alter egos of himself and essentially shared the what do you call it, the Zero Mortals plan. I mean, that's the thing that makes the most sense. I mean, some people are saying that possibly he used the Super Dragon Balls to make clones of himself, but I don't know if that's really the case, yo.
Yeah, that hasn't been stated yet. It could turn out to be that way in the next few episodes, but I mean, okay, so we do know that presumably there's at least 2 of them right now who have teamed up in Trunks' timeline.
Yes.
But if there's any others, then we don't know about that yet.
My whole thing is like what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to ask you because you're a very thinking person. Okay, the only way for future Zamasu to have known about Goku other than hearing stories is because of the fight. So that tells me that at some point, and you made a whole breakdown of what could have happened on your Twitter, but now things have kind of changed, based on what we know. I feel like now the way that things are, I feel like the present Zamasu had to have gone into the future at some point. You know what I mean? He had to have gone into the future at some point. So, because otherwise, like, why would he be so mad at Goku? Like, I feel like the present one he's the only one who ever met Goku because Goku's dead in the future.
Yeah, but, well, I mean, so it could, well, I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know what to think yet.
Right, well, next week we're going to get our answer, I think.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now, what do you, just real quick side note, what do you think about One Punch Man Season 2? Because I know you're a big fan and you've been reading the manga. Are you excited about the anime One Punch Man Season 2?
Well, I'm excited about it, but I'm curious what they're actually cover. Because, like, okay, so the first season covered the first about 7 volumes, and currently there's only 10 volumes. I think they came out with 11 volumes, but just recently they came out with the 11th So it seems like they don't have an equivalent amount of material to cover for the second season. So I wonder if they're going to just not not do filler per se, but have more anime original material for the second season. Or the other thing is that so there's the Murata's remake of the original webcomic, and the webcomic actually has this very long story arc centering around Garo, which has only in the Murata remake. This has only just started, so it would seem natural for a second season to kind of cover that in its entirety. But it does. I wonder. Like, it doesn't seem like that's going to be finished in the remake version by the time season 2 starts. So I wonder if they're going to just do something different, or if they're going to adapt the Garo story arc directly from one's original webcomic rather than wait for Murata to remake that in his manga.
With the nice drawings, you mean, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we've just had a Mob Psycho 100, which was adapted directly from a webcomic by One himself. But his work on Mob Psycho is a lot more polished. You know, he's still, One is never going to be the greatest manga artist in the world, but his style has improved a lot more. It's a lot more polished than what he was doing with the One Punch webcomic.
He seems to also, he's really good at just being funny. I feel like that's kind of his strength. Like, I feel like in the future, maybe not right away, but maybe sometime in the future he might just pull a Toriyama and just hire himself like a Toyotaro to kind of draw everything for him. You know, he just writes the story, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, his strength is definitely in the writing, and to a certain extent, that's what he has done, just with getting Murata to remake his webcomic. And they have done other collaborations where it is just from the start, One just writes a story and does kind of a rough draft storyboard thing, which Murata then just adapts on his own.
Now, we have a question for you in the chat. Madaro Chiha writes, Herms, please explain the whole part about Vegeta pointing out marriage and Trunks kissing Mai mouth to mouth. I think because of the mistranslation initially might be what they're talking about.
Yeah, I totally screwed this up. But yeah, okay, so essentially in this episode, Trunks, for whatever reason, he gives Mai a senzu through mouth to mouth, I guess trying to be romantic. And so in response to this, Goku finds this weird. He's like, well, why do you do that? And then Vegeta. Okay, so in response to this, Goku claims that he's never actually kissed someone before, and Vegeta finds this ridiculous because he's married. And Goku responds like, well, what's being married got to do with it? And then Vegeta kind of just drops the subject.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because there is a big misconception. Herms, do you remember the scene in the anime? I mean, you watched it recently, where Goku wakes up from the heart virus, and then him and Chi-Chi have that moment, and it looks like. In fact, actually, Noah Lux in the chat right now is bringing this up, okay? It looks like they kiss in that scene. And I believe in the English dub, they actually added a sound effect of like a kiss or something like that. I watched it in Japanese recently again, and I didn't notice that sound effect. So, I mean, is it just one of those things where we're supposed to believe they just hugged? I guess they just hugged. You know, I guess they didn't actually kiss.
Yeah, I don't think in the manga they ever kiss at all, but I mean, I'm just off the top of my head, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't think they kiss at all. But Toriyama's not really a romance guy. Like he does it, but no. If you notice, a lot of his romantic stuff is off screen. Like the relationship with Yamcha and Bulma, they have a moment here and there. The relationship with Vegeta and Bulma, and we didn't really even see a real good stuff until like Battle of Gods. So, I think Toriyama just doesn't do it. He just doesn't write it, you know?
Well, yeah, he said in interviews that he's just not really big on that stuff, so he pretty much leaves it out on screen and on panel in his works. But I mean, even though it's not shown, he just implies it happens off screen. Like in Dr. Slump, there's a joke where, Senbei and Midori have a kid, and when this happens, it's like there's just a joke about how Senbei, even though he's now made Midori pregnant, he still doesn't entirely understand the details of how to actually make a baby. So it seems like this thing with Goku in this latest episode is sort of a joke in a similar vein, where it's like even though he's married, he still doesn't really understand how any of this works.
Let me ask you a side question that I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day. I've heard that Japan is having some kind of population issue now. Is there any truth to this?
Well, yeah, it's a big issue where they're just having less and less kids, so their population's declining over time. And it's been a major issue for probably decades at this point.
Really? Because I was told that. All right, so he told me, he's like, well, I guess the women just don't like the men over there, and I was like, well, that's unusual, like that, because their culture seems to be very, inversive. But you're saying this has been going on for decades now.
Yeah, it's a long running problem.
Yeah, that's.
And it's just, I mean, in generally the more developed a country is, the lower the birth rate. And so Japan is one of the most developed countries in the world, and so as a result it has this low birth rate. And another problem is that it's an island nation, so it's kind of isolated to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard it's a very xenophobic culture, in a sense. Like they kind of stay away from everybody. Dragon Ball Z Live V2 asks, "Is Neko Majin worth reading? I've heard good things about it, but I've never read it." I believe before you joined up when you guys merged to make Kanzenshuu. I'm pretty sure Neko Majin Volume 3 and 4, and Neko Majin Z was hosted on the on Daizenshuu EX years ago.
Yeah, I think they had a scanslation of it, which, because it hadn't been available in English, and even now, Viz only did a translation of the final chapter, I believe.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, I don't understand that, because I want the whole thing.
Yeah, and let's see. Okay, there's only 5 chapters overall. It's all been collected into a single Kanzenban style volume in Japan.
Yeah, but there's no English. There's no Viz translation.
No. They only did part of it. And yeah, they ran a translation of the last chapter in their Shonen Jump, which was never collected in anything else. So unless you have that issue, you're kind of out of luck there too.
That's not fair. Now,
but I mean, it is a very funny series.
I remember reading it and enjoying it. I mean, I do remember it was awesome. It was like new Dragon Ball without it really being Dragon Ball.
Yeah, it starts out having kind of on its own thing, just with this Neko Majin, and then the more it goes on, the more of a Dragon Ball parody it turns into, until at the very end Goku shows up and they just have a bunch of cameos from Oob and everyone.
Kuriza's in there, Frieza's son.
Yeah.
Who people ask me if that's canon. It's like, come on, who cares? Like, I don't know. Maybe. Somebody's asking, should I read Dr. Slump? Herms, we talked about this before. The problem with Dr. Slump is that it's different from Dragon Ball in a sense, but it's also, a lot of the jokes are puns. Do you think that the Viz translation of Dr. Slump, do you think that it is an accurate one, or do you think they had trouble kind of figuring out all the puns?
Well, personally, I've only read Dr. Slump in Japanese. I haven't read Viz's translation, but I've heard very good things about it, because it was actually done by the same people who handled the localization for Phoenix Wright, which, Phoenix Wright was kind of the same thing, where it's a series with a lot of puns and things that are difficult to adapt. And so they had to do a lot of effort to come up with equivalent jokes that worked in English, and then for the Phoenix Wright games. And so because of that, they were hired by Viz to kind of do the same thing with Dr. Slump. And so, like you said, there's just all kinds of puns and cultural references and things that can't really be directly translated into English. And so they came up with kind of just new jokes that kind of work on their own. And so it would be a different experience reading it in translation, like more so than Dragon Ball, which, with Dragon Ball, you can have mistranslations, but apart from that, like, the story is very direct. It comes across pretty well. But with Dr. Slump, there's times where the whole story revolves around puns and things like that. And like a lot of it is parodies of Japanese shows that if you've never heard of them, then it's just going to be incomprehensible nonsense.
Well, it's like with One Punch Man, like Anpan Man, like that. How many did we even get a dub of that? No, like who knows about Anpan Man,
Yeah, but of course, even then, you don't really need to get the joke for One Punch Man to make sense. Whereas with Dr. Slump, there's kind of times where if you don't get the joke, then it does seem like just incoherent.
Right.
But anyway, so, I mean, just based on what I've heard, I guess, I would recommend checking it out. I hear that I would recommend checking out the Viz translation, because everyone who I know who has read it says it's very good and manages to be funny on its own.
Yeah, it's just too bad we never got the anime dub. That would have been great. It's just they would have had problems with the puns too, but I think it still deserves it. Now they're asking you and I, how do you think Dragon Ball Super would have been if young Gigi drew the manga? That's an interesting question because there's really no way to tell. I mean, he's a pretty talented artist, man, but he's still gonna do what Toriyama says, essentially.
Yeah, I mean the manga version would look different. It would have young Gigi's style, but I don't think that would affect the anime version at all.
Yeah, I don't think it would affect the anime at all. Now, Mr. Ducky has a question directly for you. Herms, please read this theory. What if in the unseen timeline, the fourth one, Zamasu, uses a Vegeta body so we won't get confused of the three Zamasu or any Z Fighter body? Please read this. I don't know how to even... I'm confused with what he just said. What if in the unseen timeline, the fourth Zamasu, okay, I'm following him so far, uses a Vegeta body to make, I guess, Vegeta Black. Well, the problem is that we haven't had any hints about any of this. Like, I've seen in the community people have these theories, and the thing about theories is that everybody has their own theory, but you have to have some kind of base evidence, you know? Like, when we're trying to figure out who Goku Black is, we have different... Obviously, we have different suspects. Some people thought it was Goasu, which actually is not a horrible idea. There could have been something to that a couple weeks ago. Now, we know it's not the case. So, do you have anything to add to that, bro?
I think it'd be funny if it just kept going on until, like, the entire cast is one by one replaced by Zamasu.
That's
so
not...
it's like invasion of the Body Snatchers.
So it's like the Matrix Reloaded then, where Agent Smith takes over everybody in the Matrix. You ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, obviously you saw the third one where they pretty much ripped off a Dragon Ball fight.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of the first Matrix movie was kind of the only good one, I think.
Yeah, I've changed my mind on those on and off for a while now. You know, somebody asked me another pretty good question that I wanted to ask you. Do you think my answer is no, but I want to get your thoughts. Do you think that with Trunks going back in time now that this is an excuse for the Dragon Ball Super team to change the ending of Dragon Ball manga? I don't think so, but it seems far-fetched. But what do you think?
I don't know why they need Trunks to do that specifically.
I agree.
Unless the idea is that, like, through time travel they alter the ending in the original series, but I don't know. I don't think that at this point. I think they're probably just ignoring the original ending, and they don't like the last thing they want to do is draw attention to it in any way.
Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, people have been saying they're gonna write over it. I just feel like maybe what they should just do is just take a time skip and just pass it. It's better. Alfredo wants to know: do you listen to old school hip hop?
No.
What music do you like, Herms? I'm curious.
I don't know. Let me think. Tom Waits. That's a good one.
Oh, random. Or do you like? Are you a big fan of Japanese music? Like, do you like not necessarily J-pop, but any of that stuff?
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean, I love like the anime intros. I love those. Herms, do you expect?
I mean, I was into just Yoko Kanno back in the day, just from Cowboy Bebop.
Well, that had a great soundtrack. That whole anime had a dope soundtrack. Madara wants to know, Herms, do you expect Vegeta to have any big role in Goku Black's defeat? I would say yes, based on what's going on in the future, but what do you think?
I think it could go either way, but I mean, we've already seen him get his ass kicked, so it'd be kind of repetitive if that happened again. And we did get the very vague episode title for, I think it's 62, was it? Where it's literally the title is just Vegeta's intense battle. So,
do you think that might be a mistake, and maybe they meant it for like 61 or something like that? Like, I was thinking that might be a mistake, like when they first, maybe not, because it's a provisional title, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's provisional, so we'll just have to see how it pans out. But I don't know. I hope he does something interesting anyway.
Who is the most underrated Dragon Ball character? Somebody asks, in your opinion.
Namu.
All right. I think mine is Tao Pai Pai, but Namu's a good choice. All right, here we go. Continuation from my question. Wait, I can't even read that. Okay, somebody asked, Herms, are you a fan of the Fist of the North Star, and how do you think it influenced Dragon Ball? That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I've never really gotten into it, but I've seen people make the analogy where if Fist of the North Star is like Bruce Lee, then Dragon Ball is like Jackie Chan. So,
Huh.
like, I don't know. So essentially, Fist of the North Star, it's kind of a straightforward. It's not very much humor in it. Like, it's still good. Well, I've never seen it much of it, but I mean, it's got a big following, and so it's kind of a more just straightforward dramatic series. And then Dragon Ball, in contrast, is kind of just action with humor mixed in, which is kind of what Jackie Chan did to distinguish himself from Bruce Lee. But I don't know. I don't think Toriyama's ever said it that if he read Fist of the North Star and was directly influenced by it.
I don't think so either. But they're both big shonen. I guess you can call them like what would you call it? I guess big influential shonen series. I guess you can say. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a really big one back in the day. Like before Dragon Ball, that was kind of one of the major. I mean, it still is, but it's kind of, at least in the West, the fandom for it has died down over the years.
Yeah, I agree. It says here, hey, Geekdom, did you know that Herms hates Star Wars? Is that true?
No,
Why are they making up? Stop spreading misinformation, asshole. What a dick that guy is. All right, what's the best Dragon Ball Z movie to you? You gave Fusion Reborn, or Fukatsu no Fusion, you gave it 5 out of 5, I think.
yeah,
That's your favorite one?
and no, the first one I gave 5 out of 5 to was actually Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle.
The most underrated one, I would say.
Yeah, well, it's a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah. So,
And
so that is your favorite, or no?
yeah, it's probably those two, I guess. And then, but okay, if we're using a very broad definition of, if we're including the TV specials as well, then I guess there's the Bardock special as well,
Oh, yeah.
which is,
But that's more of a special.
well, yeah, I mean, literally, it was just a TV special, but rather than something that appeared in theaters. But I mean, it and the Trunks special, they're both up there as well.
Now, people are asking what is Dragon Ball SD. Now, I am going to probably do a video on it eventually. I'll probably do some homework. But I wanted to ask you, and for those who don't know, I'll just quickly explain it. If I'm wrong, you can correct me if I miss anything. But pretty much Dragon Ball SD is like Naho Oishi's like retelling of Dragon Ball. It's like a kind of an alternate universe Dragon Ball where it's like the same story but like drawn in her style. I have one of the manga volumes on my shelf here. Do you like Dragon Ball SD? Because I've heard different people say like, okay, it's just the same thing over again. I've heard others say, oh, it's a lot of fun. I love the colors and the art and the pages. But how do you feel about Dragon Ball SD?
I mean, it's got a few good jokes, but it seems like most of the time they do just retell the original series. So there's not too much. Like, it seems like it's mainly there. It runs in that. It started out in that offshoot of Weekly Jump that had like a lot of those kind of just spin-offs of more the popular series. Like they had a series that was just Chopper from One Piece, but so essentially it's kind of aimed at an even younger audience than the main Dragon Ball series, and I guess it's there just to get them just as an entryway into the franchise. And anyway, but there has been the artist who draws it, Naho Oishi. She's made comments in interviews where like she had this crazy idea for a story where like what is it? Cell is forced into vomiting up all the androids by being given X-Lax, and
That's awesome.
like she had all these like crazy creative ideas that she wanted to use in the series, but then her editor told her just that she couldn't do it, and it seems that she's essentially being forced to stick very closely to the original and not use too many out there jokes. So, which I guess as a result is why it doesn't do too much that's really original.
So do you think it would be better if they just let her kind of, loosen up? Because I feel like when you put limitations on a writer, man, it's like, we already have the Dragon Ball manga. Let her do her thing,
Yeah, it's like every time, like occasionally she does get, like there's a special chapter where it's not retelling, and usually those are a lot more interesting than the main series.
Somebody's asking, can you ask Herms if Pan will be different in Dragon Ball Super than GT? I don't even know how to even answer that. Because the GT, I mean, look, okay, you answer it.
Well, I think I guess the big question is if Super will ever go forward enough in time where she'll be anything other than a baby. And if that does happen, then I think it's probably safe to say she will act differently than GT just because being handled by different staff all these years apart.
I mean, Herms, at this point, man, is there any way? I'm going to say no, but is there any way for GT to even logistically fit into this timeline? I mean, Super's already created new forms. We've got the Kaioshin defusing. There are all these things where I feel like, and again, obviously the manga is the original source, we all know that, but I feel like the way Dragon Ball is you have two branches. You have like the Super continuity and the GT continuity. I just don't think they can even mix. Because why wouldn't Goku use God power? Like, are they gonna end Super with just Goku losing his God power? Like, I don't understand. I wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, at this point, they would have to do something really drastic and just undo a lot of the things that have happened in Super for it and GT to really fit into the same continuity.
I feel like Bulma would have to get the Super Dragon Balls and say, "I wish Beerus never woke up," and then none of this would have happened.
Yeah, or Goku is like Goku wakes up in the last episode and it's all just a dream.
No, no, that would ruin it. I mean, I think it would. Are you okay with that ending?
No, but
Okay.
that's the only way I think it could fit with GT.
Now, Red Bullet 578 asks about Kai. He asked if Kai's better than the original. I'm not going to ask that, but I do want to rephrase the question. What are your feelings about Dragon Ball Kai, the anime, obviously?
Well, I really only watched the Saiyan arc and yeah, just the first few episodes, and then because that was actually started airing when I was in Japan. And so I would just watch that on TV and do kind of comparisons between it and the original manga and then the Z version, and write those up on the let's see, at the time it was still the Daizenshuu X forums. So I was doing that, and sort of similar to what I'm doing with just these the super episode summaries, although not quite like that. But anyway, so I did that for a while, and then midway through, when I left Japan, I kind of just stopped watching it because I'm extremely lazy, and if I can't just switch on the TV, then this was kind of, I mean, this was many years ago, so this was a little before things were it was quite as easy to get a hold of this stuff just online. But anyway, so long story short is that after the first story arc, I lost track of Kai, and I haven't really seen much of it after that. Like, I haven't seen the Frieza stuff. I haven't even seen in Japanese. I watched the dub to see Chris Ayres as Frieza.
It's fantastic.
And yeah, he's really good. And then after that, I haven't really seen much of the Android Cell stuff. So I did have an idea though that since I haven't seen much of it at all, that now that I'm almost done with this big marathon I've done going through Dragon Ball and Z and GT, like maybe next year I'll go through Super. I mean, not Super. Maybe next year I'll go through Kai beginning to end. And if I do that, maybe I'll just watch the whole thing in English.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a side question to that, because in English, it is a much better dub. I mean, obviously, we all know that. But about you, like, because you speak Japanese, do you have any reason at all to watch any anime dub? Like, is there... Okay, like, let's pick at your brain. Like, I'm bilingual, too. I speak English and Spanish. But for me, I feel like maybe it's because I don't really speak Spanish anymore like I used to when I was younger. I still speak the language, but not like I used to. I still kind of default to English, but for anime, it's different because, it's a different language. But my question is, do you prefer, like, if you got a Blu-ray of an anime, are you going to default Japanese or are you going to default dub? And if you knew the dub was good ahead of time.
Well, I generally these days I just go straight to Japanese. But if it's a series I watched, like, in the really, like, if it was something I knew from before I really learned much Japanese, like Cowboy Bebop, for instance, like, I still generally just stick to the dub of that because that's what I'm used to. But I guess the annoying thing is that I actually feel lazy if I watch the dub or read something Japanese translated to English because it's like, well, I should really just be doing this myself. Like, I should be reading it in Japanese, and if I don't, then this is kind of a guilt thing where I actually just feel lazy. Like, it's not even having, like, even apart from relative quality, I just feel like I should be, like, I'm somehow obligated to go to Japanese because otherwise I'm not improving my Japanese skills.
I see. So you're sharpening your skills, essentially, when you watch like that.
Yeah, or at least that's the excuse.
Somebody asked, "What's your least favorite Dragon Ball Z saga?" Let's just change that and just do Dragon Ball Saga. What's your least favorite? Mine is the Potafu arc. That was the worst thing they've ever done. I don't know about you.
Let's see.
I
Well,
think you said Guard Junior before, but we're
yeah,
including
that's
GT now.
still. Let's see. Well, I still haven't really. I haven't rewatched GT, so I don't. I don't really want to say definitively something's the worst if I haven't recently rewatched it. So I guess I still have to go with the Garlic Junior saga, but I might change my mind after I've rewatched GT.
Yeah, it's interesting because Mike and Kerberfer had a really good podcast about GT that brought back a lot of memories, and it was just funny because I kind of agree with what they said, and I'm very curious to get your thoughts now when you rewatch GT because how long has it been since you've seen GT?
So at this point, at least like 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's been a while for me too. I'm curious because when I was younger and I watched it, I kind of agree with what Mike said in that the baby arc was where it got good, but now as like an older fan, I really appreciate the early GT adventures of them going to Legic and all these other planets, Dolmaki. I actually kind of appreciate that more than I do than I did when I was younger. It's just weird. So I don't know. All right, now about Super, I wanted to ask you because we have some new information in this episode that I wanted to delve into, Herms. We originally thought, or I don't know about you, but I originally thought that Goku Black in the future was Goku's dead body that Zamasu dug up, not to sound morbid, and then absorbed or went into him, and hence him clutching his heart. But now we find out that Zamasu switched bodies with Goku and then killed Goku, or Goku and Zamasu's body. So where did this other Goku come from if in every other timeline Goku's dead? I'm confused about this.
Yeah, we still don't really know. Like, although I have a crazy idea that maybe what if he never actually did die of a heart virus? What if it was just Zamasu the whole time? I don't know how that would actually work, but
Well,
like,
I would okay that works except for the fact that Trunks gave him the medicine and it helped him out.
well, it didn't though, because he still got sick anyway. But
Well, yeah, but he didn't die. Oh, I see what you're saying. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that he got the heart virus, but the heart virus was not supposed to kill him. It was Zamasu who had actually wound up killing him.
yeah, and
Mind blown.
yeah, I don't know. It's far fetched, but we'll see.
No, but that would totally twist up everything. That would totally that's mind blowing. Now somebody in the chat says the 4-star Baba arc is way worse than Black Star Dragon Balls. I completely disagree. In fact, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna get your thoughts, Herms. I think the 4-star and what they're talking about, the 4-star Baba arc, that's the end of the Red Ribbon Army, the tournament with Gohan coming back. No, I think that's actually, dude. When Grandpa Gohan returns from the dead, that's one of the best scenes in all of Dragon Ball. Maybe the most emotional scene in the entire series. So just that scene alone is magnanimous. But I think that whole fight at the Devil's Toilet and all that, I think that stuff was fantastic. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was really good too. I mean, it's kind of just a little mini thing that's on its own and kind of separate from everything. It's like this. It's kind of like just a cool down lap after the Red Ribbon stuff, really. But I mean, I like all the monster guys, and it's very emotional with Grandpa Gohan. So, and I like the fight with the Pilaf robot. So I think it's underrated, actually.
I think
you don't hear people talk about it too much.
It's criminally underrated, and I'd love the Pilaf robot. It just, doom, 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 doom. By the way, folks, we're live. Thank you for joining us tonight. I just want to let everybody know we really appreciate it. Big shout outs to all you guys down there in the chat. We just hit 1,000 views, so we have 1,000 people live watching us right now. And we have some more questions here, Herm. So we got 1,000 folks there. It's hard to keep track of these questions. But somebody asked, when Whis turns back time, does he make a new timeline? No, that does not happen. It's never said to us. So if he does, it's new information.
In the Super manga, it's explicitly said by Whis that it doesn't form new timelines because, well, he gives a reason that I can't quite remember and it's like kind of just gook, but he says it doesn't create a new timeline. So I guess that's I mean, if we're counting the super manga as canon, then that's that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the way I perceive it, bro, is that I think that if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you need to read the manga and watch the anime because Toyotaro is filling us in with information that the anime doesn't. Toyotaro's manga tells us Trunks trained with the Z Sword. You know, we saw more of his fight with Dabura or Dabura, whichever way you want to pronounce it. You know, we saw more things there. And then over in the anime, we're seeing kind of, you know, I feel like the Zamasu thing's going to be totally different in the manga because in the last chapter, Zamasu met Kaioshin and was training with Kibito. None of that was in the anime. So it's just, it's almost like two different continuities. Like you've got the Walking Dead comic, the Walking Dead TV show. That's how I see it. But you kind of need both to get to understand the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying in a way, just that there are these two alternate versions of the same story that don't really quite fit. But at the same time, I do like getting the Toyotaro's alternate take on things, and he does tend to flesh things out that end up getting glossed over in the TV version. He does seem to have a kind of an eye for those kind of small details, like. So we're 99.99% sure that Toyotaro is in fact Toybull, who before he was working on the super manga, he was a fan just doing this fan comic of Dragon Ball AF.
Yes.
And in that thing, that was it was adapting all these crazy rumors. You know, back in the old day, we had all these crazy rumors about there being a new Dragon Ball series after GT. And they called it AF for some reason, and there were all
After
these
Future, right?
Yeah, they had Super Saiyan 5, they had Broly coming back for whatever reason, and so Toybull took these rumors and he turned them into a reasonably coherent story, and he set it after GT, and it's like it incorporates all these like minor details in an interesting way. And I mean, I was doing these fan translations of this fan comic on the Daizenshuu X forums back in the day. And so I've been following this guy for a while, and I can kind of see the consistency in the way he approaches the series that kind of still comes through in the super manga.
It's the same guy. I mean, come on. And again, folks, I want to say this to everybody. You know, look at the story of Toyotaro. The guy was a Dragon Ball fan, starts drawing fan manga. He gets hired to do Hero's Victory mission?
Yeah, that's where he started out.
And then he gets hired to Super, working hand in hand with Toriyama. So if you're out there and you're an artist, or you want to do something where you want to be successful, you never know who's watching, you never know who's around, you never know what might happen. So never give up your dream, because you just never know. This guy Toyotaro was just a fan like all of us. He's working with Toriyama now. It's just it's not gonna happen for everybody, but never give up. Kids Meals wants to know, Geekdom and Herms, how do you think this arc's going to end regarding the last few episodes and the setting? I guess he means, like, is this the final battle that we're seeing right now? Will this be the final battle? Because Herms, bro, I feel like they're kind of saying goodbye to Trunks here. Like, the way they had that long... I guess you can call it that long kind of Kid Trunks, Future Trunks moment where he's saying goodbye and they're doing like the sad music, and then Trunks is like, go get him. I feel like we're not going to see Trunks go back anymore. And why would Bulma go with them to the future? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she said that she says that if they leave Trunks in the future, like if they save the day and Trunks will stay in the future, then there needs someone to pilot the time machine back. I mean, I guess because she's kind of intent on keeping the time machine, because otherwise Trunks could just drop them off in the present and take the time machine back home. But she explicitly says in the last episodes, like, well, if Trunks stays, then you need someone to take the time machine back home, back to the present.
But there's a problem there with that. Is what if something happens again in the future? How is Trunks going to be able to go back if the future Bulma's not even around anymore? What's going to happen then?
Yeah, well, I guess they're not thinking that far ahead. But okay, so whether this is the final battle, there actually was this, I guess it's a jump scan, but one of those scans that popped up, or no, I think it was in Psycho Jump, but I'm kind of waiting on Mike, on Kanzenshuu, Mike Vegeta AX,
yeah.
Waiting for his copy of the magazine to get an official scan. But it seems, yeah, it's this thing where it's kind of just reviewing the story arcs so far and talking, just hyping up the next few episodes. And it actually does. It is entitled, not entitled. It starts off with this header where it says it's like, the super final battle with the future on the line. So it is using the word final battle to describe like what's going on now. So I don't know. It's just this thing in a magazine. It might not be well, it's definitely official, but I don't know how binding their use of the word final battle is going to end up being.
In other words, you think it might just be hype?
Yeah, it could just be hype, but I don't know. I mean, that's notable at least.
Somebody's asking what websites have Herms translations. Well, Kanzenshuu has the ones that Herms actually does, but I'm sure other people have copied your translations from time to time. And here's the thing. Let me just get this out here, okay? A lot of people take Herms' translations, right? My thing, and this is just my opinion, if you're going to use one of Herms' translations, at least credit the guy back on his freaking Twitter. I'm so sick and tired of going on the internet and seeing people who literally have ripped off your translation. I'm not going to name the website, but there's one in particular that loves to do this, and they never credit back, and it's just such a small dick thing to do, man. I'm sorry, Herms, but I'm just being real with you. I don't like when people do that shit to you.
Yeah, but so, as I said, so I'm a staff member for Kanzenshuu, and so a lot of my translations will be either like on the website or just post them on the forums, which is generally where I post my episode summaries on the forums, and then also like I tweet them at the same time. So I guess like the two authoritative sources for my translations are my Twitter account and Kanzenshuu.
That's right, yeah. And that's the one thing I do want to say to everybody. I really want you guys to, I'm, a couple people in the chat figured out who I was talking about. Here's the thing, all right, guys. I'm just going to talk to the people now for a second, Herms. If you read something on the internet, if you want to verify whether or not it's true, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not. I never have. Herms is not going to bullshit you. Kanzenshuu, the whole website will not bullshit you. There's a few others, like Dragon Ball Insider. Anthony Putignan is a great guy. Great guy. He won't lie. Anime News Network typically is right. And then if it's anything video game related, you have to go to Rhymestyle. Rhymestyle has connections deep in the industry when it comes to video games. He gets to play these things before anybody else does. So if there's a video game question, that's the guy to go to. That's the guy. So if you're out there and you are wondering, is this rumor about Bulma dying true? If you don't see Herms tweeting about it and you don't see me make a video about it, because if it's real, I'm going to make a video about it. I will make a spoiler video saying warning, blah, blah, blah. Right, but if you don't see us do that, it's probably fake. And there's a lot of fake shit going on now, especially this week. You got to be careful and spread the word out about this. This is not me trying to get more eyeballs on myself or on Herms. It's just that I know I've talked to Herms long enough and I've been following Kanzenshuu so long that Kanzenshuu will not allow themselves to bullshit you, So there you go. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
And sometimes I do mess up, and
that's different though.
Yeah, like tonight, just doing the episode, I mistranslated one of the lines, but I noticed this when the closed captioning came out, and I corrected myself. So that's another big thing, is that when we do mess up, I try and fix things as quickly as possible, and to note that I had made that mistake.
Yeah, and that to me shows a lot of integrity. Like, one thing I do respect, and this is one thing I'll always say about Kanzenshuu, no matter how you feel about any of the content on the website, you have to, no matter what your opinions are, because some people, Herms, they know that Kanzenshuu caters to the Japanese version only, so a lot of them get offended at that, which is kind of stupid because it's a fan website, do whatever you want. But it doesn't matter how you feel about that. There's definitely, I remember there's been a couple times, I think one time where Kanzenshuu got burnt, and then Vegeta EX put up a correction. It happens to the best of us, and that to me shows a lot of integrity. I completely trust Kanzenshuu, and I always have, because even though I never knew you guys personally for years, just based on how you conducted yourself publicly, you can tell these people are legitimate. And that's what I try to do, is I try to be as legitimate as possible. I have no reason to lie, but there's people out there who just want to lie. And you know what's dumb, bro? Herms, you know what the dumbest thing about this is? They're putting out this shit about Vegeta getting a new transformation, Bulma dying, like on Tuesday, and the episode airs on Saturday. So your lie is only going to last like 5 days. You know, why do they do that? It's not even like a long-term lie.
It can get pretty widespread in just 5 days.
I know, but Herms, man, if you, somebody's asking what does Kanzenshuu mean in English? It's not even a real word, but if you, go ahead.
Well, it came from, we had Kanzenshuu EX, the fan site back in the old days, and Kanzenshuu means a large collection, essentially, and it's the name of this old series of Dragon Ball guidebooks. And then we also had Kanzentai, which means a perfect or complete form, which is the Japanese term for Cell's complete form. And that was the name of the website I was working on, me and Hujio Heath at. And so so us 4 guys, between us, we had these 2 websites called Kanzenshuu EX and Kanzentai. And so eventually we decided, like, let's just combine them into one big website. And so we combined the names and into Kanzenshuu, which you could say means complete collection.
Yeah, because it's like is it even a real word, or is it just one of those things where it is a real word, or it's just
not not a word that's used in Japanese. So we just got it from combining 2 actual Japanese words that we named our sites after, but the thing itself isn't really, as far as I've seen, I've never seen it actually used in Japanese, but you could write it using Japanese characters and it would make sense.
Well, did y'all think of all that before you came up with the name? Like, can we write this in Japanese?
Yeah, I mean, we tossed around other ideas, but we couldn't think of a better name than that. So
no, it's perfect. It's a perfect name. And I told Mike this. I knew it was going to happen at some point. I predicted it. I was like, they're going to fuse. Because it's like, why? Like, y'all are popping up on each other's podcasts. Like, you know, might as well. And that's the thing too, is that's the thing that I'm trying to tell everybody, is that, you know, Kanzenshuu won't lie, and that's the important thing. That's the important thing that you guys have to remember. If Herms does not tweet about it, it's not true. For example, Herms, I heard last week in the Latin American community, because you know, as I told you, I'm bilingual. I'm starting to get to know some of these guys, the Spanish YouTubers, and they're cool. But there's a couple things I picked up on that we haven't even heard yet. Want to get your thoughts on it. Somebody told me, or a Latin American YouTuber said that the Dragon Ball Super Trunks arc is going to be going on until 2017. I haven't heard that anywhere, so that's all bullshit. I'm pretty sure, right? Have you heard anything about this?
I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, it's not impossible, but as far as I know, there's no official source that has said anything about that.
Do you sense it coming to a close? Because I'll be honest, I am sensing this coming to a close. I'm sensing that, I don't know if this is going to be the final battle, but I feel like maybe by November, December, we're going to be done with this arc. November, I would say.
Because we've still got about 3 more months left of 2016, so I'd be surprised if it lasts that long. Like, I don't know exactly how long it might last, but I'd be surprised if it continues into 2017. Like, they'd have to introduce some really big new element to keep it going that long. Unless they go with a Frieza arc thing and just have a really, really, really long fight.
Yep, and by the way, I want to say hello to everybody coming into the chat now. People are still coming in, man. We're over 1,000 people. Thank you, as always, for your support. I'm sure that Herm supports you as well. Dragon Ball for life, bro. Stop spamming the freaking chat. But, yeah, I just let everybody know thank you. And do you have anything to say to the people?
Well, thanks for coming.
All right.
Thanks for all the kind words.
Yes, they love you, bro. But no, okay, back to this Dragon Ball Super thing. Yeah, I mean, we have the Omniversal Tournament. They've got that in their back pocket. We don't know when that's coming. We have no idea. But I feel like one thing that we've noticed, and I'm talking about all of us, is that before the next arc, there's usually some kind of hype. Like the Trunks thing happened, about 3 weeks before the arc started? So I feel like we're going to get some, you know, V-Jump or Psycho Jump stuff for an upcoming arc before it actually happens. So we might get that. That's how we know if it keeps going. But as far as I know, Herms, from everybody I've talked to, Dragon Ball Super is an animal right now in Japan. top 5 every single week, from what I understand. They're rolling in money, and we don't even have the freaking dubs for Spanish or English out yet. So, as far as the series goes, a lot of people are wondering in the chat, how long will Super go? My response is, as long as it makes money, because right now it's doing really, really well.
Yeah, we did get the announcements on the box sets that are be coming out in the future. So
You're up to
according
72.
yeah, according to those, there'd be at least 72 episodes, and that's still about 11 episodes away. And there's no reason to think 72 will be the end. That's just how far the last announced box set went. So I think, like you said, it could go on a long time because it gets good ratings very consistently. Like whatever you may think about Super's quality, just story wise or animation wise, it has been doing very well ratings wise and well in selling merchandise. So from a business perspective, there's no immediate reason for them to want to end it at this point.
Okay, and the way that I understand it works is that with Toei and with these ongoing series, because brother, Naruto had filler up the ass for like 2 years. I feel like with Dragon Ball, as long as people keep watching, they're gonna keep making it. I mean, it would have to be something catastrophic, like something happens to Nozawa, something like that would stop this series. I mean, I see no reason for them to stop now at all. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's yeah. Right now, there'd have to be something big to make them stop at this point.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't even have the international dubs yet. I mean, Herms, man, the Latin American community is extremely. You know what's interesting? Goku Black in Spanish is called Goku Black. Not even Goku Negro. It's Goku Black. They're using the direct word. And we just found out recently that the English dub of Dragon Ball Super, at least the uncut one, is going to use Goku Black. Bandai Namco is using Goku Black, so his name will be Goku Black. But it's interesting because the Latin American community, the videos that I do, I would say for the most part do fairly well. Their videos do significantly more views because there's so much of a bigger audience. There's such a huge audience in Latin America that loves Dragon Ball, and they haven't even tapped into it with Super yet, yo.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like once it gets dubbed internationally, it'll just it'll snowball probably.
I can't even wait. I can't wait. Now, someone's asking, when will Bulla, aka Bra, be born in Dragon Ball Super? Well, in the original manga, we know Bulla was, I believe she was born in age 780. So Bulma should be pregnant now, but we see no signs of her being pregnant, Herms.
Yeah, I mean, strictly speaking, in the original manga, they don't mention what her age is. However, they do mention, yeah. In the main series, they only mention that Pan is 4 years old at the very end of the series during the 10 years later flashback, and they don't specify how old Bra is in comparison. But in the guides, okay, I'm gonna get this wrong. Okay, the guides actually are inconsistent
with
on
Pan. Yeah.
Yeah, well, with their relative ages. Pan's birth year is consistently given as I'm gonna get this wrong, probably 780. Well, okay, they give her whatever year makes it.
Wasn't it 779? Right?
Yeah, it's technically she's 4 years going on 5 years during the year of that tournament at the end of the series.
Yeah.
And so 789. Yeah, that should be right. And so. Yeah, so she's born in 789, and and that's why Battle of the Gods is set officially in 788, a year before then. However, the guides are inconsistent on whether Bra is born 1 year earlier or later than Pan is. So I believe the official timeline goes with 788, and then another one says she's born in 790. And so, okay, so if she's a year older than Pan, then obviously by definition, since Pan is born in Super at this point, Bra should also be around. But if she's a year younger, then there's a little bit of wiggle room. However, at this point, it seems like Pan's been around long enough in Super. It seems like a year should have passed by now. They haven't officially said it, but they keep using Dragon Balls and stuff like that. It seems like enough time should have passed for at the very least Bulma to be visibly pregnant. So
yes,
they might retcon it. They might have Bra be a lot younger than Pan, but that's gonna again be kind of messing up the end of the series, because at the end of the series she's a little girl, but she can talk. She's not like a baby or anything.
No, and exactly, she's a kid, and it's a problem. It's like at the end of the manga, Bulma tells Goku, "I haven't seen you in 5 years." That's been completely retconned because age 780, we know for a fact, is when Resurrection F. Well, we don't know for a fact, but we can guide it, I guess, to that. Resurrection F, Universe 6 tournament or whatever, and Trunks takes place. That's 4 years. So whatever Bulma was saying, dude, maybe, you know what? Maybe Toriyama will come out in an interview and say, oh, well, she was just over exaggerating. She over exaggerated her, but she under exaggerated her actual age because she did lower her age in Battle of Gods. That's one way Toriyama can weasel his way out of that one.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe they're say Bra's adopted, although that would be, I don't know.
What about that creepy rumor that she's Trunks and Mai's kid or something like that, and they're gonna adopt her from the future or something?
That would be pretty bizarre.
Yeah, it's creepy. Somebody's asking what caused the stop on Dragon Ball Z. I don't know what he means by that, but I think he's trying to ask why did Dragon Ball end? Let me get your thoughts on this, Herms, man. And we have over 1,100 people in here, so thank you so much for listening to me and Herms tonight. And thank you, Herms, for stopping by. I'm glad that people came out. You will definitely drew money here, bro, because there's people here who, the people here are here to see you, bro. I did trivia a couple weeks ago, and it didn't do as well as this. So, but then again, we're talking about Super this time. Well, first of all, I have a question for you. All right, first of all, would you consider, this is from Night Watch, would you consider Zamasu Black the best villain in Dragon Ball history? Your opinion?
I don't know about the best, but he's pretty good. But we'll have to see how the arc ends before really saying something like that.
Leo Walton, what would happen to Dragon Ball if Nozawa passed away? Would they find a replacement or stop completely? I think they would stop, because Herms, bro, who the hell sounds like Nozawa?
I mean, I have to assume that they've got someone lined up in case of that happening. Like, I can't imagine that they'd just be completely unprepared for an eventuality like that.
She's just so iconic. It's like, it's a legend here. So, okay, let's talk about this real quick because I wanted to ask you. Somebody asked us about Dragon Ball ending. Okay, I'm going to eventually do a video on this, but I need to do a little bit more homework here. When Dragon Ball GT aired, okay, Dragon Ball GT was canceled, and we did not get a new Dragon Ball series for many, many years. 17 years for the next big thing, which was Battle of Gods, even though Yosun Goku was pretty big for me. Herms, man, in your honest opinion, based on everything you've read with the Daizenshus and things like that, I'm doing it now. Okay. My understanding of why Dragon Ball GT failed, based on the ratings patterns and based on what I've seen, is I think turning Goku into a kid was a bad idea because I noticed the ratings dropped after that. I don't think it was Toriyama's lack of involvement, but I could be wrong. But I feel like the big reason why GT hurt Dragon Ball for so many years, and I'm not saying GT sucks, I'm saying financially, is because I feel like Dragon Ball had been on the air for so long, like, 10, 11 years by that point. I feel like people were burnt out on Dragon Ball. What do you think? What do you think was the reason why GT did so much damage to the Dragon Ball franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, like, ratings were decreasing throughout the Buu arc as well.
I noticed that.
The trend just continues into GT. I mean, like you said, the highest rated episode of GT is the first episode, and it drops off after that. But it's not like it didn't drop off all at once. It was just a steady downward trend. And I mean, maybe people didn't like Goku being a kid, but I mean, there's a lot of things that happened in the first episode that people could have not liked.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a new music. The animation looks different. There's a lot of changes.
Yeah, Vegeta with a mustache. And anyway, so I think, I mean, GT's quality issues aside, I think the biggest thing probably is just burnout on the franchise as a whole. But I mean, because the ratings were going down and merchandise sales were going down, it's kind of the same old thing where, regardless of the actual quality of the show, what the people actually in charge of production care about is just the money at the bottom line. And if they're not making money, then they're just cut the cord.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think it'd be very difficult to. There's probably a lot of different reasons why, and it's kind of hard. We'd have to do research to really come up with a solid answer of which one is the most important. But if I had to guess, like just here, I would say that yeah, just the series being on for so long and maybe just people being tired of it and not really willing. The other and without the series being supported in Jump, like with no Jump series to go along with it, that was another thing, because that's something we don't really get in the U.S. In the U.S. side of things, people only watch the TV show. The manga is kind of it's always just been for the more hardcore fans. I mean, like if you know, there's like most fans just
Yeah,
like,
you're
on the
saying
US
that in
side,
Japan, people tend to read the manga more, is what you're saying.
yeah, because in Japan, Shonen Jump on its own is just a big thing. It was just yeah, a very huge cultural touchstone. Everyone was reading Jump. You can't go 5 feet without running into a copy of Jump, and so the thing the how it's the business model is that Jump and the TV adaptations of the popular Jump series reinforce each other. So in the pages of Jump, they have ads for the TV series, the TV adaptations of their popular series, and then on TV they have commercials for the other merchandise and also for Jump and the collected editions and things like that. So without Dragon Ball, without a manga running in Jump, I think that would hurt their business model for GT.
Do you think that One Piece has something to fear? I mean, they still have a manga, but I mean, do you think that's possible that at some point One Piece might also end up like kind of getting along in the two, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean that's hard to say. I think at this point it's hard to imagine the One Piece manga ever wrapping up, but I have to assume that when it does, they'll probably do a spin-off, kind of like what they're doing with
Naruto.
Naruto and
Yeah.
the son of Naruto. So maybe we'll have a son of Luffy or something.
Yeah, I know. I remember you mentioned a minute ago. You mentioned that the Buu arc had the decline of ratings, and a lot of people don't know this, and we're talking about Japan, not in the U.S.
Yeah.
But I think the peak was during the tournament. I remember I think it was episode like 222, right around that range. That's when the Dragon Ball was at its absolute peak as far as ratings go. I'm not saying popularity, ratings, but also there are some episodes of Dragon Ball prior to Z that did really, really well. But that's, the 80s had a different rating share because of TV and penetration. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole other... The ratings is a different discussion. But the thing is, do you know off the top of your head if the Dragon Ball manga was suffering, or at least not suffering, but declining during the Buu arc? Do you remember that offhand?
I mean, I think it was. Let's see. I think it was going a little down in popularity polls towards the end. I might be making this up, but it's a little harder to gauge because with Jump, obviously, it's this one magazine. People either buy it or they don't. So it's kind of a little hard to suss out like which series are getting people to buy it versus TV ratings. But I do know that when Dragon Ball ended, there was a big decline in Jump sales. Although at the same time, like Dragon Ball, Slam Dunk, and Yu Yu Hakusho all ended relatively close to one another. And so, like the cumulative effect of that really hurt Jump sales. Like
Those
that
are
was
three big series.
Yeah, it's like the end of their golden age, is what they called it. And it wasn't until like One Piece and Naruto and these more recent, relatively at this point decades old, but the newer generation of until those started up, that's when things kind of got back to where they were with when Dragon Ball and those other series were going.
We had that that dark age, I guess you could say, right? Like in between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna do a whole lot of research on this before I actually do the video, but I mean, it's pretty safe to say that Dragon Ball had just been, because these guys don't understand, I think a lot of people don't understand Dragon Ball. I mean, I'm sure some people do, but I know a lot of fans who just grew up on the dub or just don't know, didn't do their homework. They don't understand that Dragon Ball was nonstop in Japan from '86, the anime, all the way to like '97.
Yeah.
That's
And the manga too is just one chapter a week, pretty much nonstop.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that's a long time, because Herms, man, I mean, 10 years is a long time. You could go through 4 or 5 girlfriends, you can get married, you can get divorced, you can go through 6, 7 jobs. I'm just throwing stuff out there. You can have several things happen to you in 10 years, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Before we get out of here, man, we're going to close out here in a second. Before we do, though, I wanted to ask, Where do you think the series Super is going to go after this? Because we have a couple of things that they threw into us that we haven't explored yet. For example, the planet Sadal has been the talk amongst the community. Somebody was asking in the chat if we think we're going to see any female Saiyans on planet Sadal. Also, we have Hit, who was brought in. We haven't seen him in a while. We also have Shampa's Earth. Why don't we have an arc that's going to go on Shampa's Earth or Hit? Like, I already mentioned Hit, but like, you know, Kaba. Like, I feel like there's so many things that they've given us now that they can always go back to continue the series.
Yeah, I mean, the big obvious thing right now is that presumably they're going to have the next big tournament with every universe, and when they do that, they might we'll probably see more of those the characters from the last tournament will probably show up, and we'll get updates on them. And from there, like, I mean, I don't really know, but if it would be nice to see more of Universe 6 and maybe go there and maybe explore the other universes. That's kind of the big obvious trajectory for the series as a whole is to just continue to go into this 12 universe concept and explore that. I mean, they could go on, you know, hundreds of episodes potentially with 12 universes if they wanted to.
Go on forever, man. I mean, and the other thing too is about what you just said is with the Omniversal Tournament. I wanted to ask you about this because I had a discussion with a lot of different YouTubers and Dragon Ball fans when they were all down here visiting me in Florida. We had a big get together down here, and we had a very interesting discussion that I promised them I would ask you about, and we're going to close the stream out on this one. And that's this right here. It's about the Omniversal Tournament. I feel like there's a problem here when it comes to storytelling because I feel like it's going to be one of two things. Either Goku wins the tournament and it's very anticlimactic, or perhaps Goku does not win the tournament. But I feel like if he does not win the tournament, I feel like it's going to be one of those things where people are going to be waiting to see if Goku is going to make a comeback. So a lot of the people that were down here who were very smart, Herms, they were saying, you know, this Omniversal Tournament may have actually ended up being a bad idea because they may have written themselves into a corner, right? And same thing with the Omni King, right? How can you create a new villain that's going to create any sort of drama if the Omni King is best friends with Goku? It's like, if you've got this guy in your back pocket who can destroy universes in the blink of an eye, where's the drama? Where's the struggle? Where is the, you know, the menacing feeling that we had for Frieza, for the artificial humans, Vegeta and Nappa? We had that. Piccolo too. I feel like, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I had this idea that maybe the Omni King can only destroy universes, and like maybe he doesn't have any lesser moves. So it's like,
so he's really OP.
Yeah, well, it's like maybe he can't control himself. Like, he can float there and stare into space, or he can destroy universes, and there's like nothing in between. So like maybe it's something like that, where it's like, even if he's the most powerful, they can't really call on his power without a lot of bad unintended consequences.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something they could do. I don't know if they will, but that's one idea.
I mean,
then
go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, with the tournaments, yeah, that's a good point on, like, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But they could have, they could have Vegeta win the tournament. Like, if they structure the tournament differently so that it's not a team thing and it's says like individuals, then they could have someone like an established character who isn't Goku win the tournament, which would probably please, like, you know, you could have Goku, you could have Vegeta win, you could have Gohan win, which will never happen. But if it did happen, it would make some people very happy.
Poor Gabby.
And yeah.
No, I mean, go ahead.
I think the main thing they could do is just have the next tournament be structured differently than the last one, and there's a lot of possibilities they could go with that thing. That, like, if they wanted to keep it from feeling like just the same thing again and again.
Well, it almost has to be structured differently because we've got 12 universes, not just Team Universe 6 and Team Universe 7. Are we going to have 5 teams per universe? I don't know about that. Is it going to be Battle Royal style? I was thinking, Herms, that they might do a thing like they did in old Dragon Ball where you have the preliminaries, right? And you have like 1,000 people in these like little montages, you know, like old school Dragon Ball tournaments where they all have to advance and qualify to get in. You know what I mean? You never know, that might be the case.
Or like the filler Afterlife tournament where it's just there's no teams, it's just one-on-one, but they have representatives from the universes fighting, and it's just like, well, here, you know, in this round we've got like 3 East Galaxy guys left and no South Galaxy guys left and stuff like that.
Yeah, that could work as well.
Like that could be how they compete.
But I feel like when there's 12 universes, Herms, man, if you're going to have 12 universes, this is like just that idea of there being so many universes, and you don't do one per universe. I don't think they're going to do that. We're talking about possibly 50 episodes, just that. Like, when you really think about it, unless they speed through it, this could be a humongously long story arc.
Yeah, or maybe they just do one person per universe, and it's just 12 fighters.
That's what I'm hoping they don't do, because it's going to be Goku, and I don't know. I hope not. And I hope we see more Champa, because I miss that guy.
Yeah.
Well, everybody check out Herms on Kanzenshuu. He's always working for us, and you know, for the better of the community, and I really, really appreciate it. Words cannot express how much I appreciate it, and I will always tell you that. So forever and ever and ever. So check out Herms on Twitter, twitter.com/Herms98. Just hit 10,000 followers. I think you might be close to 11,000, because every time I drop a video, I always link back to you. I always do it. So, and I'm not the only one. You know, you're almost at 11,000 actually as of right now. You'll probably hit it by the time that. Probably in a few minutes, you'll probably hit it. But very happy about that. And, of course, check out Kanzenshuu. Hit that donate button as well to help everybody out over there. Do you have anything else to say to the people, yo? To the people, we have right now, as of this recording, we have 1,134 people watching. It's a lot of people. So that's 1/10 of your followers there. People are saying thank you. Do you see the chat?
Yeah, it's kind of going by fast. But yeah, sorry for everyone whose questions I couldn't get around to. I know there's this one guy he's got this little Japanese self-introduction keeps going by.
Is he trying to get your attention with kanji or what katakana?
Well, no, it's like this. Like he says he studies Japanese in university, and it's just this kind of like my name is, I think it was Random, and yeah, he's just introducing himself in Japanese.
That's pretty cool, yo. Like I wonder if he's being legit, because that's pretty cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie. People are wacky.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, support Herms in any way possible. They want Herms to do a face reveal. Listen, nobody knows what Herms looks like. All right, like seriously.
Herms.
Say what?
Herms.
Yeah, Herms. What I said.
Never.
Oh,
Not even I know what I look like.
Well, yeah, you have no mirrors in your house. So, yes, folks, nobody knows who Herms looks like, including people at Kanzenshuu. As far as I know, I don't even think they even know what you look like. So it's a big mystery. So you're never gonna get a face reveal. Say what?
Well, I mean, me and Heath used to live in the same city, so we met a few times. But
okay,
anyway.
well, then he's the only one, then, right?
Yeah.
There you go. So nobody else knows.
You're not missing much, guys. Let me tell you.
Well, I don't know. I've never seen what you look like, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's more about your work. Let the work speak for itself. So, again, thank you, Herms, for being here, and thank all of you guys for checking out the stream. Again, I apologize, too. It's hard to get to your questions. There's so many of them. I like having a lot of people listen to us, but I feel like there's just the chat goes by so fast, it's impossible to read. But thank you, Herms, as always, and I hope to get back with you soon so we can cover the rest of the Dragon Ball Z series and get your thoughts on what you saw. I always have fun talking to you, bro.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, we'll talk to you guys down the road. Tomorrow, a real quick plug on the channel. Well, later today, whatever. Depends on where you live. I got the episode 61 preview coming up where I'm going to give my predictions on that. And that's usually fun, just chilling out, talking to you guys. Thank you as always. We'll talk to you guys down the road.